world had gone quiet. News screens glowed in every city, from the sand-blown streets of Gaza to the glass towers of New York. People stopped what they were doing when the two flags appeared side by side on the broadcast feed. Burkina Faso in the United States, fluttering against a dark, overcast sky. Cameras clicked. Murmurs filled the press room. And then came the sound of footsteps. Firm, deliberate, synchronized. President Ibrahim Traoré and Donald Trump walked onto the stage together, their faces unreadable, their expressions weighed with history. There was no music, no applause. Just the sound of distant thunder and the breathing of a tense world waiting to hear what they had come to say. Trump stood tall, his jaw set, his signature red tie vivid against the gray. Beside him, Traoré's military jacket shimmered faintly under the lights, the bronze buttons reflecting the storm outside. They stopped behind the podium, two microphones waiting. And for a moment neither spoke. The silence stretched until it felt like the world itself had paused, a silence so deep it carried across continents. Then Trump leaned slightly forward. "My friends," he began, his voice lower than usual, carrying a weight it rarely did. "The world is tired of war, tired of funerals, tired of seeing children cry. Tonight we stand here not as leaders of nations, but as men who've seen too much pain." He turned slightly toward Traoré. "And this man beside me, he's seen the same." The camera cut to Traoré, who slowly placed a hand on the microphone. "When I was a soldier," he said, his tone calm but fierce, "I learned something simple. When the earth shakes, when bombs fall, it is not the generals who bleed first. It is the children. It is the mothers. It is the old man trying to protect his home." His words rippled through the room. Trump nodded almost solemnly. "You know, I've built towers, cities, businesses. But I've learned, none of that means anything when there's no peace. We can rebuild buildings, but not lives. You can't replace a child's laughter once it's gone." Outside the building, a crowd gathered under the rain. They held signs, some for peace, some for their countries, some simply saying enough. Inside, Traoré continued, "I have seen the soil drink too much blood. And I say tonight, no flag, no belief, no border is worth the death of a child." He paused. Cameras zoomed in on his eyes, fierce, unblinking. "If we lose our humanity, we lose our reason to lead." Trump's hand gripped the podium. "That's right. People expect us to fight, to argue, but maybe the world's ready for something else. Maybe it's time for two men from two different worlds to say, enough." The words enough echoed again. The screens flickered across continents, in Tel Aviv, Ramallah, Washington, Ouagadougou, London. Doha. Traoré looked directly into the camera. "Tonight we give the world a countdown. Not to war now, but to peace." Trump looked at him, surprised but intrigued. "A countdown?" Traoré nodded. "Yes, because peace is not a wish, it is a deadline." He turned back to the microphone. 10 days. 10 days for humanity to remember it is one family. 10 days for leaders to lay down pride and speak. 10 days before silence becomes shame. The crowd outside began chanting, soft at first, then louder. Trump leaned in. 10 days. That's not much time. Traoré replied, "Time is not what we need. Courage is." For a moment their eyes met. Two men from opposite histories standing under one storm, united by the weariness of bloodshed. Trump exhaled, a hint of reflection in his voice. "You know, Ibrahim, I used to think power meant winning. Maybe it means listening." Traoré gave a faint smile. "Then let's make them listen." The next scene cut to aerial shots, cities halting, traffic slowing, news anchors speaking over trembling voices. The message was clear: 10 days to peace. Posters began to appear. Hashtags trended. Across social media, clips of their speech spread, millions of views within hours. In the Middle East, some leaders dismissed it. Others listened quietly. But ordinary people, and the ones who had lost the most, began to hope. Traoré's next lines came like thunder. I say to the generals, the politicians, the men behind desks, step outside. Look at the graves you've dug with your words. Tell the wind your victory is worth their pain. If your heart stays silent, you have no right to lead. Trump looked down, visibly moved. I've seen mothers at airports crying over caskets. I've seen children wave flags they don't understand. Maybe it's time we tell them. No more heroes in wars, only victims. A murmur filled the press hall. No one expected that from him. The air crackled with tension and awe. Traoré took a deep breath. This is not a speech. It's a warning to our own hearts. If we don't act now, history will write us as cowards, Trump nodded. And I don't want that. I don't think any of us do. Then he faced the cameras again. So here's what we're going to do. In 10 days, we'll meet again, here, with anyone willing to talk, listen, or compromise. We'll sit. No scripts, no politics, just humanity. The room erupted in flashes of light. Traoré raised a hand to quiet the noise. And if no one comes, we will still be here. Because peace doesn't wait for permission. Outside, thunder rolled again. A low, trembling echo. Trump looked at the sky through the glass wall. Storm's not going anywhere, Traoré replied softly. Neither are we. The screen faded to black. Then came a montage. Soldiers lowering rifles. Children in classrooms. Prayers whispered under ruined roofs. The narration of Traoré's voice lingered over the images. They say men cannot change the world. But the world was always changed by those who dared to believe otherwise. The montage cut to Trump walking through the rain. Reporters shouting questions. He didn't answer. He simply looked up, water streaking down his face, and said quietly, 10 days. The music swelled, strings and drums building like a heartbeat. 9 days passed. Tension grew. Governments met behind closed doors. Crowds filled squares. The message spread like wildfire, countdown to humanity. On the 10th night they returned. The same stage. The same storm. But this time the hall was full. Leaders, ambassadors, faith elders, activists, all gathered in one place. Trump stepped forward first. We fought for centuries. Maybe it's time we try something different. Fighting for each other. Traoré's voice followed. Peace is not a dream. It is discipline. It is courage. And it begins when one man decides to put down his pride. He looked at Trump. Trump nodded. Then both men extended their hands, not to each other, but to the audience. Who will stand with us? The cameras panned across the faces, and hesitation, then motion. People rose to their feet one by one, applause echoing like thunder through the hall. For the first time in years, the world didn't see two men from rival nations. They saw two humans daring to end the cycle. Outside, the storm cleared, and as the cameras zoomed out, showing millions watching across the globe, a final line appeared across the broadcast. Peace is not impossible. Oh, it's overdue. The applause turned into chants. Drums, bells, streets lit up as people waved candles instead of flags, and over the roar of hope reborn, Ibrahim Traoré whispered, barely audible, but caught by every microphone. History will remember the day the noise of war finally met the silence of courage. Trump looked at him and smiled. And maybe, just maybe, the world will remember us not for what we destroyed, but for what we saved. They stood there as the lights faded, their silhouettes framed by the glow of two flags fluttering together under a peaceful night sky. The feed ended. But across continents, the echo remained, a whisper carried by wind. By hearts, by hope, 10 days changed the world.